Hi, I'll tell you what, I want to do a video for people who might be in the same position as me. I was looking at a Harley Davidson for, I reckon, best part of 20 years, and always loved the look of them, always loved the sound of them, and you know, finally this year I decided I was going to do it, and I actually bought this bike before it actually passed my test, which sounds nuts, but I got an incredible deal from the local dealer in Edinburgh. So I'll tell you what, absolutely delighted with this bike, and I thought what I would do is just, there might be a lot of guys in the same sort of position as me, maybe don't know much about bikes, and I thought I'd just go over some basic controls on this bike and give you my kind of thoughts and feedback as to what I've seen so far. So I've chosen a nice location on a good day down at South Queensferry, right next to the Forth Rail Bridge. You know, one of the reasons I'm actually doing these YouTube videos is because the amount of information that I picked up from YouTube, and I personally want to thank everybody who's actually uploaded a video to YouTube, because the amount of information I picked up just on how the bike looked, how it ran, people's views on it, the pros, the cons, my mind was pretty much made up, but you know, I really did find some of these road trips and you know, YouTube videos incredibly useful. So you know, that's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. I'm hoping that I can share some information that I've picked up for the benefit of other guys like yourselves who might be considering a bike, and in particular a Harley Davidson, where as I say, I can't fault it. So look, there we go, that's just a wee summary. I'll let you watch the rest of the video. Cheers. So here's the Harley Davidson Sportster Iron 883. The actual full description is the XL883N for insurance purposes. Okay, so let me go through some of these basic controls for you on the Sportster Iron 883. On the left hand handlebar here, just so that you can see, this is what they call a trip button, right? So this alternates you between various different settings, which I'll just show you right here. Now, the first setting is the gear stroke revs per minute. Now, I find that quite useful. As a new guy to bikes, it does tell you what gear you're in. This is a 5-speed bike, so you've got 5 gears. It's going to show you what gear you're in and also how the revs are going. So that's the first setting. Second setting, you've got the mileage, so mileage to date 1167 in miles for me there. And then the next setting is trip A. Now trip A, I use that for when I fill the tank, and I think that's really useful, because it's obviously going to show me how far I've gone from an empty tank. Now, just to give you an idea, this tank, I usually have to refill round about the 90 mile mark. That's roughly when the yellow light comes on, so it's going to show me that the tank's running low. So 90 miles pretty much on average is where that bike tends to show you that it's running low. And you know, from that point forward, I don't know how long you've got. I certainly have had 10 to 15 miles from that point. So around about the 100 mile mark, you really want to be getting to a station and getting yourself filled up. So I use that for trip A. And then trip B, well, I use that for individual trips, so I know exactly how I've gone or how far I've gone on any one particular day. But other guys I've seen online have used that for things like working out when the next oil change should be, that type of thing. So, but you've got 2 trip functions which I think are incredibly useful. So, and then final one there is the clock, which of course is also useful to have. And then when you go forward again, you're starting to rotate through the same functions. You've got your gears and revs per minute right there. So just moving back to this left hand side here, you've got your horn. I'll give you a wee peep. And then what you've got here is low beam and high beam. So that's low beam, that's high beam, sorry, and you'll see the blue on the screen there. And then you're back to low beam, and also you can flash just by a further press like that. So moving over to the right hand side, what you've got here is engine off. And just below you're going to have what they call engine run. So that's run. And to start the engine, you're going to press this one right here. And then just above you've got your hazard warnings. I'll just give you a flash to show you what's going on there. That's your hazard warnings on right there. Now just below that, what you're going to see is your right hand indicator, which is right here. So that's the one thing that's kind of unique, I think, to Harley, is that they put the indicators on each side. So your right hand indicators on the right hand side, and then just moving over here again, you're going to see your left hand indicator on the left hand side right there. So I think, you know, as I say, it's unique to Harley. Most other bike manufacturers, I believe, have their left and right indicator on the left hand side. I find that no problem at all, having the indicators on each side. And the one thing that I think is very good is that they are self-cancelling, so what should happen is that the bike should automatically turn the indicators off. Now I've seen that happening sometimes where it doesn't automatically go off. Just keep an eye on that. Sometimes maybe it's the way I'm turning, it's not always going off, but usually it does work very, very well. The tank capacity is about 12.5 litres. That was the best fun I had at the pumps for a long time. My car ranged from up to about £90 to fill the tank. This is roughly a tenner. When I first got the bike it was about £9. I'll tell you what, it felt great. Full tank on £9. It's gone up slightly, as we all know the prices are up, but just over £10 to £11 absolute maximum right now to fill the tank. And as I say, you got about 100 110 miles probably from a tank, just depending on how you drive, but certainly around about 90 level the yellow light does come on just to warn you that you're getting low. Right at the front here on the right handlebar you've got your brake fluid level for the front, and then tucked away down here is your rear brake fluid level, just right there. Another thing that I thought was useful to know was the tyre pressures front and back. So you will find it, but tyre pressure for the bike is 30 psi on the front and 40 on the back. So I just, for convenience, have a record of that in the garage, and just something to keep a wee eye on, that the tyre pressures obviously will start to fall. So 30 on the front, 40 on the back, and there's a train going over the bridge. Just catch that while we're there. The other thing that I've been really impressed with this bike is the performance and the acceleration. So going through the gears, you've got great performance going from off the lights through first, second and third gear and right up to fifth gear. So lots of acceleration, lots of power. You're not going to have any problems at all. I guess other tips from me would be just to try to keep the bike in good condition by giving it a clean each time that you're out. For me it's dead simple, just got an old towel and I give it a wipe down each time I'm out, try and keep it in decent condition. One other idea that I was told about was ACF 50, which is kind of anti-corrosion, and quite useful just to give it a clean down with the ACF 50 over particularly the front of the bike, where it's going to collect dirt or potentially salt in the poorer weather. So the ACF 50 will do a good job, I think, preventing rust happening. So I've done that, so I found that quite good, and these are the kind of top tips that I've had so far, and just try to keep this bike looking, you know, as it came from the showroom. Yeah, one thing that people seem to do that I've noticed online is that they relocate the gauge here. I don't understand why you would do that. I've seen them located down to the left here, and what I would think to be difficult location to actually see anything. You know, I think the best location for it is right here, and it certainly works well for me. Looking straight ahead, you can see what's going on, and you can use your trip to work out where you are. The other thing is the tank lift. It's just my views again, but I don't understand why you would want to lift the tank. I think the tank looks great exactly where it is. I cannot think why, you know, lifting the tank improves the look of the bike. Again, just my thoughts. I can't fault the way the bike looks, but I do understand why people do make the custom changes, and it's something I'm going to come back to, because there's one or two that I think have worked incredibly well for me so far. There's been a lot of comments made about the mirrors on the Iron 883, and to be fair, most of it's fairly accurate. They're not great for showing what's going on behind. You will see a lot of yourself, shoulders and arms, with a little bit of what's going on, but they could be a lot better. Just moving over to the right hand side here. You're not going to see an awful lot, and it is giving me the thoughts about relocating. I'll give you thoughts on that as well in a second. So one really useful thing about these mirrors is that you can flip them round. It's been mentioned a lot in other videos, so it's probably not news to you, but you can flip them round so that the right hand mirror here would just flip over onto the left side, and you can just move the left hand side to the right. And it's just a simple I think spanner that's involved in that. So quite straightforward. I'm going to probably try that just to see how it works for me. The other thing that's quite useful or interesting to know about Harley Davidson is that there are Scottish roots, and I'm going to do a video sometime soon on exactly what that's all about. Of course, the other amazing reason for having a bike is the fact that you can just take off even for short trips and get to amazing locations just like this. Let's give you a wee pan here of South Queensferry. So that's our new bridge of Queensferry crossing. And if I just tip to the right here, you're going to see the old Forth Road Bridge, which was basically recently replaced. It was built in 1964. And then of course the rail bridge, which is looking superb still. It's way over 120 years old now. So as I say, I'm really loving this bike. The Sportster Iron 883 has actually been in production since 1957, so Harley know exactly what they're doing with this bike. You know, there's minor changes I think over the years, but you can see why, because there's really nothing to tamper with this bike. It's just superb the way it is. So I guess in summary from me, it's just a fabulous bike to drive. Obviously I don't have any experience in any other bikes, but this is the bike that I'd fancied. I'm sure you can see why when you see it right here. It's just a dream to drive. It's great to be outside in the open air. You know, also the number of looks that you get on this bike. I parked alongside a number of other bikes here at South Queensferry where a lot of bikers will come down because it's a nice place to visit. And you know, as I watched people go past, they were all looking at the Harley actually. And I'm not trying to brag about that, I'm just being honest that it was nice to see that they do attract a lot of attention. People like them, I can see why, and as I say, I'd thought about it forever. Finally bit the bullet and do not regret it at all. So if you are thinking about a bike, you know, I certainly would recommend the Harley Iron 883. It's been superb, and you know, I'm going to try and keep uploading videos that I think will be of use or interest. Hope that's been of some help, guys, and all the best if you go ahead. Cheers.